Today, we're looking at Robert Oster's School Blue. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Robert Oster's School Blue is a blue ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put the ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Diamine Singularity with a fine nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we go to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And this was a shocker to me, that this is not a true prime blue, but there's purple in this blue. This light purple that pushes its way up and then a very bright blue across the top. I was very surprised by that. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. Now that purple created a slightly darker line across the bottom. Looks like it might hold on a little bit. The rest of the chromatography really looks the same. You see the same amount of that purple pushes up. Now there's not as much gathered at the top of the purple because it stayed at the bottom. And then we really do see that light blue come through very nicely. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page and, more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles itself respectably. That extra fine becomes about a medium, but the writing itself is absolutely legible, not blown out and feathered all over the place, making me feel safe using it as a note taker, which is good because this is called School Blue. Water, interestingly, I really expected, because it was a Robert Oster, to completely remove it. It didn't. It took all of the darkest tones off, but left plenty of the blue behind. I was very surprised with that. Pen Flush did everything that water did and even more. You are beginning to see, or actually you see, plenty of the white of the paper coming through it, the bottom and the top of that. That's only 30 seconds. You easily see the dots of the Rhodia dot paper. Pen Flush is all that you should need. Now, bleach, as would be expected, completely obliterates it from the paper, but there's no reason to use a 1/3 bleach solution to get this out of your pen. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with a realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Robert Oster's School Blue has a viscosity of 2.43, making it normal. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Robert Oster's School Blue has an average dry time of 14 seconds, which is normal. But I was actually hoping, because it's a School Blue, it would be a little bit faster than normal. Just thinking about students in this case. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium. My brain stopped. A Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1. It offers no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shading, 8 seconds to dry. The medium is the exact same tone as the 1.1 and the extra fine. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. I didn't expect it, I didn't get it. In the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared it while you were writing. Fantastic right here. This is a gorgeous blue on Tomoe River. It is, I like this blue, but that is gorgeous. On Tomoe River, we get no bleeding. Yes, we get it coming through pretty heavy on a scrubby, but that's where I'm putting it on like an idiot. Other than that, we have no bleeding. We have plenty of ghosting.
Amazing blue, just absolutely amazing to look at. The 1.1 has no feather spread, it halos all over it. Amazing. No sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, no spread, and it has halo all over it. It has no sheen and no shade. It took 15 seconds to dry. That's a smudge where I had a little water on my finger and touched the page. The medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the 1.1. The medium has no feather spread. It has halo all over it. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful tone, and we get halo in all three nibs. No sheen, no shade, 24 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation, but the scrubbies do show the halo that I got in all of the writing. The smear test you could not recover if you smeared while you were writing. I think that's the only place we're going to get to see that halo. It might be worth my changing my opinion about Tomoe River just to be using it with this ink regularly. Rhodia paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. That's not a bleed spot. That's a transfer from another page because there's not even writing on that side. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 9 seconds to dry. The medium is slightly darker. It's like a tone darker than the extra fine. It has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 14 seconds to dry. So if I get a wetter, broader, it looks like I can start to get some color variation. Other than that, it's a very standard color. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any. In the smear test, you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. And this is where the color variation by nibs really stands out, is on the TWSBI. TWSBI notebook paper gives us no bleeding, some minor ghosting. The 1.1, no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. Beautiful mid-tone blue here because the extra fine, we see it go a couple tones lighter. The extra fine is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. Beautiful. The medium is a significantly darker tone than the extra fine. It's quite a bit different than even the 1.1. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any in the smear test. You could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Moleskin. So with the medium, it's not good. A lot of bleeding, doesn't touch the page underneath. You couldn't use the back of the page. The extra fine, yes, there's a lot of bleed spots. Yes, that means that, for someone super sensitive about it, they would not be able to use the back of the page. For most people, I think they could, especially for just jotting notes around. Medium, no using the back of the page. A lot of bleed, a lot of ghosting. Not ruining the page underneath. So with that, that's a plus. The medium nib, there's spread, and there is ridiculous feathering. Ridiculous. I don't know that I think the feathers have feathers. It is god awful. I mean, look at that. Holy moly. All right. No halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the medium. The extra fine has some minor spread, very minor feathering in certain areas. The bottom of the Q has some minor feathering. The has minor feathering all over it. The K, where you'd get the double stroke of the up and the down. And the J have some minor feathering. Other than that, not a whole lot. Not too bad. Performing pretty well here. No halo, no sheen, no shade, 3 seconds to dry. The scrubby shows no color variation, and we didn't get any. In the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing, and that is all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Robert Oster's School Blue, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Being a blue, you can't help but go to a red when it's called School Blue. I chose Diamine's Poppy Red. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Robert Oster's School Blue? Well, for me it starts with, as a student, I always used blue ink. It never never dawned on me to use black or green or anything else. I always used blue ink in my pens. So I like it for this, and because it brings back some of those grade school memories or nightmares. Grade school. But it shades very nicely in dry pens. Now you do lose some of that shading in your much wetter pens, but the blue that comes across is very nice. And with Robert Oster being a very affordable ink, I think this is fantastic. Thanks for watching.